Peace. How's everybody? You all letting me know how you were doing. We're ready to begin. Okay. I just had a little difficulty with the microphone of how to get it acknowledged. But we're good to go now. All right, as I like to start every session, with your questions, All right, let me know how everybody is doing. All right, free. All right, I still have that email to send you, free. All right, I gotta get those links. All right, King, peace, King. Wise you. All right, I see the God RP. Peace. All right, how's everybody? Yeah, and just like I've written it, in the, in the description of this video. Next week, October 7th, I will resume at a law school in Mecca. All right, from 5 to 8. The session ends at 7 p.m. If no students show up in the physical Harlem classroom, the remaining hour will be an exclusive online plus lesson build aired prior to the next week's class session. So that way I can make it useful, and just spit out something that's useful as opposed to just waiting there. Because, even though everybody here gets something that's online and stuff, this class is, I'm really trying to now start to re-engage the community if I can, whatever we can. Knowledge 7, Supreme Peace. So the duty, what is your duty as a student if you walked into my classroom? In this case, you are logging into my classroom. Okay, it's time to ask questions. It's time to make yourself known. It's time to share some of the insights that you've learned, some of the questions that you have that you cannot answer, or that you might be stumbled, your insights on today's build. Oh no, another typo. This is what I get for doing it so fast. You see? Let me fix that. I will fix that right now. All right, Supreme Scientist, that is fixed. Peace to the God. Yeah, so it looks good now. All right. Wise you were asking me, how do I see and utilize the solar facts and what year was it written? That's a good question. I don't really know what year it was written. I don't know because that's a Supreme Science. Yeah, I am off the clock in the calendar. It feels we could be thrown off this too. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the commentary that I could have and criticisms that I could have can now officially get me banned out of here. So, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But but yeah, I don't know the year that Solar Facts was written. If someone told it to me, I don't think I don't remember. You know, honestly, in my life, Solar Facts, I don't. Solar Facts exposes like a problem that one could get into when they deal with 120. To be so obsessed that you have to have a build for every degree. When I think that Solar Facts for us, this is my own thought, is more of a catapult. Is more of a catapult into, you know, the sciences of astronomy, cosmology, and the like. You know, I don't see it as like I have to have a build on how far Pluto is from the sun. You know what I'm saying? How far Jupiter is from the sun, and analyze each specific thing, because um, then we're getting into, you know, Mercury's in retrograde type stuff where, you know, we're building about macro realities that aren't as important, you know, as our micro realities. You know, that put that tender. I put that tender out there for people. You know, that they be on their you know, planetary shifts and all this kind of stuff. I don't see the point in any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think it has some validity, but you know, it doesn't have precedence over other things. But anyway, that's another bill. But how would you build? Well, the way I see it is, how much literature are we collecting? How much insights are we collecting about and studying about the celestial bodies? You know, about research outside. You know, can we speak about introductory, you know, astrophysics? You know what I'm saying? Can we relate some concepts about quantum mechanics and the celestial bodies? You know, like this is where I think it fits for me, you know. And when people build and get 120 from me, I don't really harp too much by that. I want them to know more about, you know, basic stuff. That's why I give you certain basic, you know, very easy, insightful reads, you know, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and others, because I want you to get a starting point and leap from there, you know. You know, as far as Solar Facts, you know. I don't know if that answers the question, you know, because I'm not trying to duck the question, but I'm not going to be asking. You know, I never thought about it. I don't to say it overtly until people get there, but I'm not really asking somebody to and demanding that they have a build, you know, about, you know, about why Saturn, you know, is 886, you know, million miles away from the sun. And King, you said, let me know if that answers the question, wise you. You know, I don't want to just leave it there just because I said that. Um, King, you said I studied your video from your last study session last week throughout the week, building on power and how one can actively become your student when reaching beyond the classroom online. Good session. Oh, okay, that's peace. That's peace. Another good question. Uh, yeah, remember, as far as our nation, I think that what me and Dark Kim are setting the necessary precedent of how this will go on. You know what I'm saying? How will we teach all these people that get it beyond Mecca? You know what I mean? It's funny because we live in a world that has more connections, right? We live in a world that has more connections as we see here, but we are more fragmented. You know what I'm saying? So how can we combine a strengthening of local local learning, local building, which is what the gods and the earths are about, but also do what we have to do, actually teach, broad based, but give me a moment here. But as far, okay, you said, King, you said, why do you, okay, let me answer wisely. I was kind of waiting for him. That way we can close that out. Peace, Lord. Indeed, I see the macroverse micro and further studies of quantum physics and knowing as much useful science in the micro level. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. We can use the distances and the positions of the different planets, though, as relationships. She was Mercury. You know what I mean? She was Neptune. You know what I'm saying? We know what we mean by those. She was far away. But then you could get nuts and you go, uh, finding some reason why Jupiter is the power, and because it's the biggest, and to me, I find those to be baby builds. You know what I mean? Then they're not really useful. You know what I mean? And then the more I see people make builds like that, the less they really know about it. And how does this all relate to us? Like what's our reality? So all of that is applicable. As far, King, you asked, what do you think? Some still hold on to the 12 jewels. I don't. Well, you kind of, you're asking that, King, like if the 12 jewels, like we're not supposed to use them. I think it's a great plus lesson. I don't see it as a rule book, but I think, it's crazy as on a commercial level. If you just, RZA is very obsessed with building on 12 jewels, and I think a lot of the insights that he shares make it a valid plus lesson to use, But again, I wouldn't use it as a rule book, because if you use it like an ordered rule book, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, equality. But then the food, clothing, and shelter is really the seventh thing that you would get. You know what I'm saying? Is the clothing and shelter really the eighth and ninth? Right? So it has holes that have to be put together, but in general, you know what I mean? And then I personally, I don't always use the 12 jewels only because it's generally intended to be the rewards of man, and I don't bear witness to that concept in general. That we live out things for reward. So I'm not a big fan of that. But I welcome a lot of the builds about it. So I definitely don't think it should be discarded. I think that if anyone gets a basic understanding of this and learns, then they would know. Then they would know. And of course, and what I mean by they would know, we're supposed to already know it's not part of 120. You know what I'm saying? When I got it, obviously I got it at the root, so that was kind of common knowledge. I wasn't really confused about that. But other people outside usually don't always know, so that's interesting. Again, that also leads to the negativity about plus lessons, and I think that's wrong. That's wrong. But 12 Jewels probably has some negativity attached to it too, because it didn't really come with an essay that attached to it like that. You know what I mean? it was written and then transmitted. So, yeah. Allah will. I don't know what the atomic levels of man. I don't know what you mean by that. So, you know, atomic levels of man to define quantum physics. Yeah, I expound on that because I don't know what you mean by atomic levels of man. You know, you mean the basic structural elements? Because I don't that wouldn't really fit into this at all. You know, that's something totally different. Um, no, you cannot. You cannot. You said the atoms in a different makeup of the body. It doesn't relate in that way. So it's kind of showing me a lot. Well, whoever you are, I don't know who you are. Okay, um, um, that's not really what quantum mechanics is doing. You know what I'm saying? Quantum mechanics is at a subatomic level. So whatever we're defining at the atomic level, like what we see, is basically a smaller level. They even have the smaller scale size, the Planck scale, right, from Max Planck. So it's something totally different, and what you're relating to man though is the concept. No. See, I don't know I don't know who you are, Allah will. It's showing me that you haven't read anything about quantum mechanics though, because then you wouldn't ask that question. That question you wouldn't ask it. Okay, because at the subatomic level, the rules of physics, what now is known as classical physics, behave differently. So you have things as entanglement and stuff and such that are completely different from the larger physical world, which would include man and even man at the atomic level would be too large. So it's there is no micro level of man that would relate to this. How man relates though is in the idea of mind and the development of matter versus energy, and how those two merge together and are merged together at that moment because it is subatomic. But again, no, and this is no offense. Please do not take offense to this though, although it is offensive though. Certain people will ask questions, and I can tell that you haven't read anything about quantum physics. Okay, and that's why you're relating it to. And this is a big deal that I have because I don't know what knowledge of self you have. But when you get knowledge of self, though, it is not the word, it is not fitting the word to what you are or what the lessons say you are. Okay. It is about going out to the world and learning with a unique lens that allows you to be what? Still like a baby. In other words, not an expert on things or not able to say, well, everything in the world is me. And so if it doesn't fit me, and now you are fitting the world's insights into you. And that's why I said the question here, and I'm using an example, shows that you haven't read much about quantum mechanics, which is fine, which is fine. There's no problem with that, right? But it also reveals that strategy of everything can be compartmentalized and understood in a quick and easy fashion by relating it to that knowledge degree and the expansive life that we've had with that degree, which includes science, which includes just anecdotal realities that confirm our so-called supremacy and all those things. But this is different. This is different because the places where it relates us as the creator of the universe is in there for certain, but it is not in the physical reality. So, and this is why, like, the order of 120 makes it seem like simple insights on the solar facts and relating them to self will be sufficient. And that's exactly not what was intended here. The brevity. When I built with Firstborn Prince, it was clear that the brevity of solar facts and actual facts were meant that we got this basic information. This is what I said, basic information, and yet unknown. The history of Yaqub and the making of the devil, that's basic information that is not known. Okay? This way we don't get on a high horse either about that. It's basic information, and yet it is unknown. And that's the only thing that makes us unique in a lot of ways, is that we know something that others don't. But please don't get confused like if it's the highest level of things. It should be common knowledge of our basic origins. And when you got to actual facts and solar facts, it springboards to us to the reality that, hey, once I'm finished with this, there is a new lens that I have with 120 using math and alphabet. Now I can encounter new sciences and go into them and see the reality of them, and it can offer an expansive aspect. And that there is levels of ideas incomplete daily, right? First off, Allah will, before I've already shown that you don't know enough about quantum mechanics, though. Okay, so now it's time for me to ask questions, because I don't know who you are. So introduce yourself. A lot of the other people here, I know who they are. Okay, all right. So I already figured out something about you. You tell me who you are. That way I know what you know and who you are. So that way I could tell you how it could be used. Okay, because before you figure out how something is used, can be used for you. See, again, that type of question. Do we use quantum physics daily, right? Or can we use it daily? How many people are using how many people are using bioengineering daily? You see what I'm saying? Nobody's bioengineering things daily, like in their spare time. And yet this whole country and the whole Western world is expecting us to have something bioengineered placed in us. So now the knowledge of that, the science on that, being able to interpret that science is going to be important to say whether you get jabbed or not. You see, so the use of something doesn't always necessarily mean that it is important. You know, the anecdotal personal use. Okay. All right. So I'm asking you a question now. Okay. The truth is that real short answer, and I'll give you the short answer because even though you haven't answered mine, the short answer is that the entire way that we are speaking to each other is because of quantum mechanics. Okay? This here, this cell phone, this is here because of quantum mechanics. Okay? So as far as its use daily, it is very, very profound. As far as its understanding on a philosophical level and what it really means, it also has great ramifications. Okay. So, Allah will, it's time to introduce yourself. Okay, because I don't know who you are. And as we continue, anybody else, let me know where you're at. Any questions that you have, any bills that you have. Okay, let me know. Allah will, who are you? Okay, stop asking me questions. God damn it. Like, it's like, you know what's funny? You guys, people get on here and they want to know what it's like at a law school in Mecca, though. I'd have thrown your ass out a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? I let the digital world ask random questions and stuff, but now I'm not asking you who you are just because out of politeness and necessity, but just because now your questions are not suitable. I've already told you what you're missing. So you've already learned enough here. You've learned what you don't know and how it stumbled you. And to tell you the truth, though, you should be asking and getting the rudimentary knowledge of quantum physics, not asking me for all the answers now. Now you know why Firstborn Prince used to kick people out of classes, because it's like, you came in, they didn't know nothing about you, and you're saying, do you know about quantum mechanics, though? And I answered it because it's a good question. But then now you show yourself to have studied nothing about it. And so your question is incorrect. Like it shows a hole. You see? So then I tell you what the hole is, and then I ask you who you are. Listen, look in that description there, right? I'm not hard to find. So if you think I'm bullying you, then you know what I'm saying? Take a trip. Take a trip to Mecca. Because if you can't take this on a digital screen, though, what are you going to take there? What do you think this is? I'm asking you. You come in the name of Allah will. Allah will. Okay? You're taking the supreme name. Don't act like I can't speak about something and as a teacher, actually expose something that you need to learn, which is a gift for the student. And then you're acting like I'm bullying you. Nah, man, that's weak, man. That's real weak. We don't deal with no mystery gods, so tell me who you are. That's it. I don't know what that means. I know who I am. I know who I am, and I'm no mystery. Like there's already tons of classes already on this YouTube. I've been in the law school of Mecca for over 20 years. When you search my name, what do you get? Anybody could learn about who I am. Manifest a lot from where? Like, where did you guys learn this stuff? Where did you guys get the knowledge yourself from? That we don't even know basic communication skills if we saw each other. What was you wearing this for? Are you even wearing this? Because if you had come into my classroom and say, "Peace, Allah will." I'm first of all, you're not Allah will. So I was misquoted, right? You're manifest Allah. Manifest Allah from where, right? First of all, I've already answered your question. The premise of your questions is already off base. I'm showing you that your questions are off base. You don't know anything about quantum mechanics. And I've already answered your question. I asked you how they're used in daily life. This, the reason, the way you feel bullied, right? Because the true and living God all of a sudden gets bullied. He can't be talked to man to man. None of this technology exists without quantum mechanics, though. So now you already know that there's stuff you have to study. And if you would have been right and exact, you would have said who you are. This is where I'm coming from. This is what this. Not because I'm bullying you, but because you would know and you would take the advantage that if I know more about the student, then I can teach the student more. And now you're just a tool for me. All right. Now you're just a tool for me to show you that this is not gonna work. I'm telling you now, anybody want to be true and living? Anybody want to be true and living though, and they get weak off a post or off of talking? Then you're not built for this. Quantum mechanics, man, has nothing to do with the electrical energy in that fashion. Okay? No, it has nothing. You're just pulling. You don't know anything. Like right now, you need to be asking what's good book to read about. Instead, you're just trying to fit it to what you think the knowledge of self is. So I'm asking you what you think the knowledge is. What is the knowledge of self for you? How did you get knowledge? Who are you? Because then that's going to inform me about why you're asking such weak questions. Weak questions like, what? Oh, how does it relate to me and stuff like that? I just told you. I'm sorry. Are you using technology? Because we're talking in this technology. So that means that it's a useful science. Wherever y'all coming from, y'all built real weak. Everything else you're asking, if you're just going to repeat the good question that I told you should be asking well of yourself, you just email me. You let me know. You know what I mean? If you didn't have, you're saying a lot of shit that makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? You say you don't have a mechanical worldview. What does that mean? That means nothing. That means nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That means nothing. First of all, I asked you who you are. You gave me a name. I don't know where you're from. None of that. So, you know, like, man, people love being mystery gods on this damn YouTube. Piece of the God self I build. You're saying a lot of stuff, electrical energy, pulses, all that stuff. You're not in the mechanical world. The quantum mechanics has nothing to do with mechanics. Okay? Quantum mechanics and quantum physics are the same thing. Okay, they're the same thing. I said that this phone, the creation of the phone, has to do with quantum mechanics. So you think it's about building things and mechanics, and now you don't know. So you continue to show that you know nothing about it. Like really zero. But your questions are selfish. They just want to know what it has to do with you as what is in your daily life. And I'm telling you. But now the question is, who are you? Where you coming from? How you got this knowledge? I'm asking. It's not your classroom. See, brother here, I got sincere peace. If you want to engage in here, after a while, I'm going to want to know who you are. Especially when you're asking wrong questions. Okay? And making insinuations or like inferences about what this might mean and how we could use it and stuff. That's like millions of miles off base because you're just trying to use the words quantum and mechanics and see if you figure out an entire science by just those two words. Good luck. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I have at least 60 books on quantum mechanics. It's one of the most difficult fields to get into, to understand, to get insight from, but also to find literature on it that is good for a beginning point. A lot of the beginner type books are not useful by themselves. They're better to be cross-matched with other things. And sometimes when you study other scientific fields like cosmology, then the quantum physics starts to make more living sense. You know what I mean? And that's why some of these questions, they're just, just throwing shit. I don't know what you're asking a lot, Will. It's a lot of phrases here. I asked you who you were. Where you from? How you got this knowledge? If you deal with this knowledge, though, could be some Muslim out of the Middle East, though, that don't even deal with this knowledge. What do I know? I don't know anything. For the students that I know, like Malik, He Kareem. King, come on. What builds do you have for today? You know what I'm saying? Peace, self-elevation. Y'all wouldn't last a day in a law school, man. And I'm the teddy bear. I'm the teddy bear of a law school. You better hope that you end up in my class. Because if this was rough, though, you won't make it out of Dark Kim's. I'm the teddy bear. This class comes with materials, curriculum, literature that is given to you for free so you can study and read, educate yourself, plus lessons that I have written that I will go over and review in the class sessions that you get particularly. For those students that contact me, they get all this though. The more that they contact me and stay abreast, the more that I build with them, the more that I expect them to build with me. But you're not going to come online here and shit and just get all the answers you want so they could fit your thing. And, you know, maybe you go make a record that, you know. So I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't know. Hey, I'm being funny, man. You like polo too? Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. Who is that mystery God? Peace to the God, true divine. The God, true divine here has given me more of an introduction than you. And I know him personally. Peace to the God. Hey, do what you will. Allah will, right? Hey. I don't understand how you're staying a mystery. I don't understand that. You said your name is Manifest Allah. What is, you know? I know people named Manifest though. You know what I'm saying? So if you're that person though, you're misrepresenting other people. If you don't say exactly who you are, where you're from. There's only people like me that could say a name and just leave it like that. I could say I'm Sunez Allah. I don't have to say nothing. I don't have to say anything. Because people could Google me and find out who I am. There ain't no others. Some people got to give themselves the introduction and stuff and be respectful of that. We're not going to be no 5%ers, and we don't know how to talk to each other. We don't know how to build, and you don't know how to be a student. I don't know how you learn this, though. I don't know where you learn this, though. I don't. King, you said, peace of God. You said some implement other degrees within their build in today's math. Is it okay to implement or add lessons in the 114 or 140 for that particular build? Okay, I'm a little confused here. Implement other degrees with their build in today's math. You mean like build? Okay, King, two questions. Do you mean builds of the day? So like involving the 30th degree in the 1 to 40 or the 1 to 36, right? Or involving degrees that born out to the day's mathematics, right? So today borns out to understanding degree in the 1 to 40 or the 1 to 14, etc., etc. Do you mean that? That's fine, because when you get your one's build on today's mathematics is one thing, but then what is when you're building, though, what is your build in general? And when you get past these things, your build will not be just based on that. It'll be based on this entire set. So yes, you know what I mean? So yes is the short answer, you know? Knowledge 7 Supreme, you know what? Me too. You said I thought the proper introduction was stating your name, where you're from, when and whom you got knowledge of. Wouldn't that be lovely? Wouldn't that be a lovely world, right? because I'm answering things and that's fine. But after a while, because of the holes in the question, this is what I said, the holes in the question, the holes. And to crush them out, I need to know who you are, because the perception is flawed here. Perception is flawed here. This is very dangerous, though, that you get to get the knowledge of self and just think that you can try to master other fields by just seeing how it fits to this knowledge and how is it relevant immediately. That's not, no. You're getting from something else. No, all knowledge. Sometimes the knowledge you think is not important, though, can be most important. I'll give you a great example. Many people may have been like myself. They didn't research Fauci like that and research like that, right? Hopefully this doesn't get banned because I'm being critical. But when you do the research, a lot of his infamy is not just from here. His infamy goes back to AZT and the AIDS epidemic. And I'm going to leave it like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to leave it like that. You know? I've given out a lot of research and stuff. You know what I mean? Right now I'm just testing the waters because I hear that, they will like YouTube is blocking people, they're critical, things like that. So, we live in more overtly censored times, because they were always censored, but much more cleverly. Now it's heinous level. True Divine, the vaccine is swine. That's a simplification. I've never been pro-vaccine, not because of the science. The science is logical, but in the hands of corporate America, it is not. And many of the vaccines contain all types of stuff. This particular vaccine's problem is it is experimental genetic therapy. So that's why. That's the reason. I put it as simply as possible, and that's really the problem. There's some really great books that I could share. Anybody wants them, if they really want, they only reference peer-reviewed journals. They're not just like people just saying wild claims and stuff. You know what I mean? It's good research. So if you need those materials, just email me. Let me go back, because here I am going against the bad question, and I see you said here we go again. No, so it's good. Oh, okay, I see your question. Can you speak to the plural language of suns, or more so moons with an S? I'm having some difficulty there. Sun is a star, but the moon's language is confusing. I'm trying to understand what you mean. You mean like as far as like our dialect, how we talk to each other? Is that what you mean? Give me some examples. Yeah, give me some examples of what you mean by that. And thanks for letting me know. I totally missed that question. And I see that Hikarim clothing, proper protection from a negative environment, that always stuck out to me, something I've always cherished and told you. That's exactly why I don't I don't like the idea of throwing away a plus lesson, you know. And if anybody doesn't like the 12 jewels, I'm telling you, I think Riz's builds on the 12 jewels are, it's the best proofs of the value of it. He's been able to use that too to speak to the masses with that. So I'm very pro using plus lessons, even though the concept of the plus lesson, the idea of rewards that we get, I'm not really into that. I'm not really into a reward based building. You know, being just being is reward enough for me in my personal thought process. Right. And again, some of the negativity about the 12 Jews is because you know, it got confused as being a part of the 120, which is not. It's not. You know, even when I made 120 on one sheet of paper, front and back, the entire 120, and see Allah, remembered in perfection. The God used to, you know, he just took it. I had a couple of typos in there, but he sent it right out and started making copies and sending it out. And I had the 12 jewels there, but it was always known, so I didn't think anything of it, that that's like an addendum or an add-on or like an appendix of 120, you know what I mean? To be at the end. So I didn't think anything of that. But I think people outside of Mecca maybe got confused, or, you know, younger generations and stuff. So that's something to take note of too. Hmm. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go back to you and read what Kareem is saying, so I can answer his first, because that's what I was waiting for. He said, you said, Kareem, I mean people using language like Mars 2 moons, or Saturn has this many moons, or black suns. The language, I don't know if it's scientific or more pseudo. I've heard scientists use language like this. Oh, well, there are. Yeah. Well, some of the actual planets have more than one moon. They literally have more than one moon. So it is not like pseudoscientific. They actually have more than one moon, you know? Allah will, you said basically there are still theories and experimenting. And the black man survive these electromagnetic waves, radiation? You can't defy the research if you haven't read the research. You know what I mean? Right? So the problem, it's real simple. You know, I can see the flaws in the question because you're not well read. You know? So like, and you clearly don't know how to introduce yourself. Where manifest Allah from where? Like, you know, you're about to get blocked off this shit. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be in my classroom anymore if I didn't know who you were this long. And I mean after I asked you. If I ask you and you don't answer, and you just see, but I just want this question, and nah, this ain't, I'm not here. You know, you want my Cash App, you know, because my Cash App is Sunez. Like, you got that paper to be just coming in and ask questions and stuff. You could Cash App me and I'll answer the questions, even though they're not going to be as useful to you. Unbelievable, man. Because you're descending down worse and worse questions. So now, even as a student, your questions are becoming more and more useless because your frame of reference is incorrect. And that's what I'm saying. Every question that you are developing is based on wrong knowledge. and assumptive information. And you're just trying to use the simple concept of logic and really a very low level of logic of making sense of things. Very low level. Very low level. So I don't even know how far you got in 120 and who you learn with. King, you said today's mathematics is understanding cipher. Well, it's a lot of misunderstanding, right? Some people aren't in that cipher. I see, King, you said I see understanding is comprehending and cipher being a person, place, a thing. Okay. And so I see today's mathematics as a day to teach and civilize others through knowledge and wisdom so they may gain understanding and become complete within self. Well, let me criticize that for a minute, King Kamal. And just the way that we talk, right? Is that there's a goal that you have that is outside of yourself in that build. And this is often the case with builds, but be very careful of this because you said so they may gain understanding and become complete within themselves. I don't think that that's our job to make people complete with themselves. You know what I'm saying? Our job is to give the complete understanding that we have, but only someone's personal understanding can make them complete. We cannot do it. You know what I mean? We're seeing a prime example of that. La Will, you're gonna get blocked. You're not answering the question that I asked you. So I gotta be wild, I know. I'm not even in the mood for that. You know what I'm saying? Asking a lot of questions that not really building. You got my build. Like you 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 got the jewel. Like Quatis, peace, God. Malik, you said why did Elijah say the wisdom build degree they should marry at 16? That was the gauge of adulthood. You know what I'm saying? And it was probably looking at the fertility. You know, the wisdom build degree, that age is really talking about fertility because we're talking about a breeding process. So it's all about fertility, you know. So they may be fertile before that, but they'll be in peak fertility. You know what I mean? Well, they're not all the same. You know what I'm saying? But it literally means natural satellites. So these are just planets that revolve around the said planet. You know what I mean? So they're bodies, you know, astronomical bodies, you know what I mean? That orbit, you know what I'm saying? You know, so once you have these said planets and those are defined as the planets, that all of the other said bodies around them are moons. You know what I mean? So it's funny they use the word satellite because they're considered just natural satellites, not artificial ones. You know what I mean? And some of these moons could be like the moon of the Earth, where they're breakage off their planet or whatever. You know what I mean? Right? I think Jupiter has the most moons, though, if I remember correctly. Let's see how many moons it has. Yeah, yeah, moons. Again, moons, natural satellites, it has about 80 known, they say. They're not all very large, though, right? And if you take a chance to look them up, though, they have different classifications and sizes, and they've tried to group them. You know what I mean? Right. Is that helping? Is that helping what I just said? That's Peace King. You know what I mean? I say that not because you're not wrong with what you do. That's the intention. You know what I mean? But if you continue with that as a statement, you could be going into things trying to make people, you know what I mean? Trying too hard. You know what I mean? I just gave out the understanding though, and I had the time to brother, human, whatever it was out because they didn't want to tell me who they were. Quasies, you said understanding cipher, all being born to understanding. This is an interesting and shifty degree. I like this, Quatis. You've got commentary on the degree. It's like you got beef now, you know, like you've been doing this a while now. You've got some issues with them. The formula seems to be comprehension times experience equals clear vision. It is a comprehension, understanding of the cycles of life. Interesting. 0. And through some kinetic chain of absorption can thought be comprehended in a deeper way. It is cyclical, heightened through its depth. It suggests that life is generated in a circular fashion, meaning that understanding is an ever-increasing phenomenon shaped by thought and experience, a faculty of sight that affects one's ability to innovate and imagine. This is profound, Quatis, because the proof that you're saying cipher represents the time is because we went from understanding, right, through all of the incarnations, right? Wisdom, understanding, right? Understanding, wisdom, understanding. Now we have understanding cipher, so it takes time. I see where you're coming up with that. You know what I mean? And now understanding is in the cipher. It is like been in the cipher. So that for you is also assuming time. A faculty of sight that affects one's ability to innovate and imagine. Oh, Quatis, I hope that you copy this down. Like, I hope that you have this in your journals because that's really good stuff. Could write whole essays about that. Very good. Very good. I'm very impressed with that. King, you said, what are some books you'd recommend or techniques regarding meditation? I know many who practice martial arts that do meditation. Yeah. I don't have specific books. You know what I'm saying? I never read about meditation like furiously. Because whether it's certain literature like Jiddu Krishnamurti or Thich Nhat Hanh, I've always tried to realize, and I agree, that meditation should be done as simple as possible. All right. So for me, meditation, though, doesn't have to be in the lotus position, right? Legs folded over each other, right? There's reasons for that. That's to block off the chi and keep it, in less space and control it, depending on the discipline of Qigong, right? But meditation is simply, you could do it just calmly, sitting in a chair, right? Sitting straight with your knees on your feet on the floor, your hands on your knees, right? Just for the chi levels, you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, or out through the nose in a calm, hopefully complete breath fashion, right? You're focusing on your breath, but what you're really trying to do in the basic beginnings of meditation, which is really the most crucial part, is you are letting go of all thoughts. You cannot stop the mind from thinking. So the real goal of meditation is to just let go, learn to let go. So have all the thoughts let go without pondering them, without going into them, without detailing them. You know what I mean? And that's why you start by trying to focus on the breath and letting the thoughts go. When you can achieve that at will, and then it is extended for certain amounts of time, then you start to achieve the real goal of meditation. You know what I mean? And there's that serenity and that control and that ease is going to be the benefits of it all. You know what I mean? And that awareness of self. Because what you're doing is, by letting go of the thoughts, is that you're able to let go of things, and you're also able to enhance your focus. You see? And see what is left there if the thoughts aren't allowed to impose, right? But still, I may have some books on it anyway if I look through my materials. Let me see. I don't know if I have any books specifically about meditation. Yeah, I actually have quite a few books on meditation, so I could definitely send you some. Um, for me, all these years, I have not really delved into it deeply because it is very easy for me to let go of thoughts. So, and I like to keep the time I meditate very simple. I keep it as simple as possible. You know what I mean? But I actually have a lot of books on meditation, and I think from real great authors like Dr. Yang Ming and others, collections by Cleary, even some of the Western authors that have written good books about other subjects that probably will be useful here too. You know what I mean? So I could send you some, God, definitely. And maybe it's time I read it. Some of these books to see how I could take my stuff to the next level. Self I Build, you said, drawing my own conclusions after thorough self-analysis is something that has helped me to strip away certain external distractions. Okay. So when you say me is the cipher, it's like you mean your cipher, not necessarily you. Interesting. So like the cipher in this case is taken as your reality. And your understanding is you're understanding these ultimate conclusions about your cipher. It's very strong, very strong. Kareem, thank you. I'm glad that helped. Okay, yeah, definitely write it down, Quatis. Quatis, you say it's a twofold degree. One side is a notion of reaction, the making sense of our surroundings, deciding what they mean, what their purpose is, experiencing an ever-changing reality, experiencing because the past has a way of affecting the future that we are born into. They're components of the same clock, so to speak. And on the other side is causation, the testing of one's ideas to see what is real and what is imaginary, so that one can uncover the purpose, significance of the universe realities we create. Seeing the codes to unlock a clearer view of what is being deciphered. Interesting. I see it. I see you, King, too. When you say that's your problem, that's why meditation would be good for you. It's good for everybody. And maybe, now it's getting colder now in a lot of places where we're at, but it's also possible to meditate out in nature if that helps. That definitely can help, especially when you're doing that deeper breathing outside. You know what I mean? And remember, you could probably still do this in this weather now. Just bundle up a little bit extra because you'd be sitting out there. Just sit in the bench in the park and try to work this, because if you work this for 5 minutes, though, I mean, this is going to be a big deal. Right? This is going to be a big deal. Quatis, you said, in a practical sense, I ask myself, how well am I understanding my own reality, and how does that affect my conscious? Okay, conscious spelled not like that. Conscious thought. How much of my reality is caused, created by my own actions, and how much of it is a ripple effect of other entities that I must adjust to and engage with? Excellent questions. Excellent questions. He said the answer continues to change in such a way that it can never be completely answered. But it is a great exercise. It relates to what you said last week, that things have to be proven outside of our personal reality, and that is how we give them a universal truth. I think that also relates in some way to today's degree, and is just as heavy of a work as determining whether our okay, we'll continue that. Good stuff, Quatis. Good stuff. Kareem, you said, do you see meditation as something that can be done anywhere? I was reading a book by James Allen where he states certain conditions are for concentration only, but need not even bother trying meditation if conditions are not right. Yeah, because you don't want to be disturbed. Theoretically, you don't want to be disturbed with meditation. You know what I'm saying? Because it does take some concentration of a different level, and it is for your mental peace. So it's it's most fitting in the peaceful mindset. For what I know, old man Justice was not in a mosque. He was not. He is not. He was not. Okay. What year did Allah complete Supreme Math and Supreme Alphabet? Did Justice help with it? I did not hear of Justice writing it. He did argue with gods about it, though. Like Abu Shahid, he did argue about certain things with him. But they were his creation. And from what I know, he pretty much made it that first year he had left the mosque. Okay. No, yeah, that's okay. Shahid, you just forgot the H between the AI. Right. Own personal reality is a real or imagined. Right. I see you, Quatis. All right. I'm going to take a break here. And when I come back, maybe Allah will not have these random comments and tell us who he is and where he's from and how he got the knowledge, if he got it. And I'll get to Quatis' question when I come back. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Quatis had a good question here. How do judgment and understanding relate? Very good question. You know, when you see, it reminds me of the plus lesson of justice. Justice is seen as a form of judgment, of applied judgment. You know what I mean? And that's the knowledge cipher, right? Knowledge add on a cipher degree in the alphabet. Um, it is very important. You know, it's funny because this is very powerful what you've asked, because it has a lot to do with it. Because when someone says that they have an actual idea, okay, an actual truth, an actual creative reality, an idea, right, or an actual truth, and they take that as knowledge and apply it and start to use it, right, and they're basically in that stage of wisdom, they're using this, then what they come out is a revelation of purpose, what I call a revelation of purpose, right? That purpose, that understanding is based on the framework of the way they have always frameworked understanding prior. So it is very accumulative. You see what I'm saying? So someone could have this, two people could have the same knowledge, apply it, right? And in very similar ways. Let's even say for this scientific experiment, thought experiment, literally, the same ways, right? What happens is that now their understanding is unique because they have already gone into it with what? A different perspective of understanding. You know what I mean? That perspective of understanding has already been different, you know? Um, so yeah, it does, you know, because you may understand something in many ways, Quatis, and the one that you choose to actually live out as your culture at that moment is very profound. You know, so it could really, it's very intriguing. It's a very intriguing question, you know, and I think it does. I think it does. You know, they certainly do relate because we are making these decisions. Kareem, you said, I've heard the God say justice was not in the mosque. Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but I've also heard he was Abu Shahid says he wasn't. He was, and even had an X, James 109X. Yeah, well, Abu Shahid says lots of things, though. You know what I mean? He says lots of things, and things that he had said, lots of things that I disagreed with. So, okay, self I build. I see your question, Malik. It might be a more technical question. Let me get his first. You asked me, Malik, where would the region be in today's time? The 2,200 miles. Good question. Um, that's supposed to be plotted back into Mecca. Um, but that's as a note. What's his name? Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting his name. Let me write this. Oh shit, I'm forgetting his name. Actually, I have it written down. Let me look at one of my plus lessons here. Boom. This is why it's good to write everything down. All right. Yeah, Paul Guthrie actually has argued, who wrote Making of the White Man, that the 2,200 miles actually goes into, like, you know, Asia, in other parts of Asia, as opposed to, um, you know, to you know, the direction of Mecca. And I think people have plotted it, though. People have plotted it to different, to back to where it was too. So, I'm inclined to think that it does plot back. You know what I mean? Um, right? That the 2,200 miles, right? Because here's the interesting thing, right? When they say they came down to Mecca, right? They cause trouble, right? So we're assuming in a degree that they came down to Mecca. And I don't think that when you plot it into the caves of West Asia that it makes that round here. But here's the thing, right? There's two things here. People assume that people are plotting, and this is just a thought because I never really thought about this too much, but this is why I don't get into like questions like this, because when people plot it straight, it doesn't always go. But do you know the path and how it actually would have been? It may not be a linear path, just like when we say we go to, like, let's say, I don't know, you're in the Bronx and stuff, and you say, oh, I'm going to go to this block. Man, that is not a straight path. You're going up mad stairs, you're going up this. So the travel is actually longer. So the path from here, the Caucasus Mountains, and here, Mecca, is not necessarily a straight path. You know what I mean? This path, what was the path that they took? So when he says 2,200 miles, it doesn't mean that the path was straight. So if we're trying to reconcile the degree, right, then we would have to say that that path may not have been linear like that. So when Paul Guthrie argues, it kind of becomes a moot point, because you may be able to plot it and it might go into other parts of Asia perfectly, but that doesn't mean that that's the route that they took. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, these are savages, right? Do we know what happened? Do we remember were they chopping heads off while they did that? Did they have to keep them alive? Did in trying to keep them alive, did they have to take different routes? Did they have to put them in encampments, right? Certain parts of the way, right? How did they keep them? Because they can't go in one day. They're not just taking a plane they're not taking transportation like we would know, only horses. And if you study like the what we're looking at, the terrain is hellish. So it is not ideal. And the fact that we may not know how it goes. So I don't think that the 2,200 miles is to be plotted straight. It's to be plotted in a specific path that we may not know. And I don't really know how we would actually go about researching it. It would take a lot of archaeological research on the way the roads were and the types of travel back then before we just make conjecture like that. And for me, I'm saying for me, though, that is not like a research that I'm particularly interested in. Although it is research that someone could conceivably do. I hope that answers the question, Malik. Self-Build, you said, do you think living an exemplary life is the highest means of teaching? I put it this way: living an exemplary life, I don't think so. I think living an exemplary life is the highest means of being a student. Okay. The greatest honor and the greatest gift that I could give all the teachers that have taught me is to live an exemplary life in the things that they have taught me in, using the things that they have taught me, whether it be martial arts that my Sigang has taught me, right? That my Sigang Bobby Lee Whitaker has taught me, whether it's the knowledge of self, that knowledge me Allah gave me as my enlightener, and then all the other gods that I built with, from Savior Knowledge to Firstborn Prince, right, to Infinite Al Jamar, to Dumar Wadi, right, to Wise Jamel, to Firstborn Al Jamel. That to me is the exemplary life is the greatest form of learning, the greatest. the greatest form of being a student. You know what I mean? To me, teaching is just sharing and being able to share so things can be understood. Share insights in a way that they are understood. To be able to share information so it is comprehended. So I think that sometimes the highest form of that is in the literal teaching of it, in the literal sharing of it, and how you share it overtly. And in sometimes the way that you're living is sharing it, sure. But I also think that as how you create things and the things that you create, you know what I mean? This to me might be the most exemplary form of teaching. You know, how you were able to share what you have learned in the creations of your reality. You know, it's a great question. Self I build, you asked, what discernment techniques have you used to gauge the sincere versus those who are just looking to waste time? Allah will. You put the quote. Well, let's use Allah will as an example, since he's the tool and slave of this class session. Um, the sincere versus those who are just looking to waste time. Those who are looking to waste time think that they are sincere, but what they're really showing is that they're just trying to cement themselves. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that they're just trying to aggrandize themselves, to fortify themselves and recharge the battery that should be charged by themselves and not anyone else. Okay? So, how do I gauge the sincere? What if I asked a question, right? What if a question was asked and I answered it, but then their response revealed in their next question that they clearly were only asking to just reconcile things so that they could say that they know enough about it to be able to dismiss it or say that they know of it. Because this is Allah will's reality. And I asked him who he is, where he's from, how he got the knowledge, whatever. If he doesn't have the knowledge, that's okay too. Nothing. I get nothing, but they just talk here. You know what I mean? Truth is, if you was in a law school in Mecca, you'd have got kicked out of my classroom a long time ago. You know? So how do I gauge the sincere? I mean, things like that. There it goes, Exhibit A. Exhibit AW. Quatis, you said, does yin and yang relate to the understanding cipher degree? Because they seem to be conscious of the poles of life. Would be interested to read more about the yin yang, but not the twins though. No, never the twins. The yang and yin is the balance of creation. The idea that things are ignited will always be continuing. As far as understanding cipher, I don't know. It might be a stretch to try to relate it specifically to that. You know what I mean? And it's in the study of the Tao Te Ching. That you would have to start to read that to start to get to understand the overlapping principles of Wu Ji that becomes working reality, yang and yin. So, you know what I mean? In fact, I think one of the greatest builds on yang and yin is in Bruce Lee's Tao of Kung Fu, you know, as a side note. All right. Peace to God, Saim. Grudgeful spelled with an E. See, you're learning all types of things today. Okay. Right. Again, where did you get the knowledge? Who taught you? Where are you from? Basic questions, man. Basic questions. But they refuse to answer and they act like a mystery. You know what I'm saying? Right? Okay, so now no one's gonna see anything you say because I don't really care. Reese, you said peace. Today's math is understanding at a cipher. Okay. Understanding at a cipher, being born, understanding, have a clear mental picture of what is shared. Cipher is a person, place, or thing in its entirety. How I see it. Okay, that's the two things. Having a clear mental picture of all worlds I enter into, whether that means I come in a position of captain lieutenant. Okay. All right. Self I build, you said, have I felt disheartened and wanted to give up on your journey as a 5%? If yes, what did you use during those times that when you were discouraged? What has been your resolve to continue? I gotta say no. That has not happened. You gotta understand that I've been teaching since I pretty much got this knowledge. Got this knowledge in 1999, and I've been teaching since 2000. So my resolve has always been in there. You know what I mean? And what started out as ego, meaning that no one's gonna kick me out of here if they're not right and exact. It's them that's the problem. Is because I look at issues not necessarily as all these people doing these things to me. I look at issues as, what can I do? You see? What can I do? So I learned from my elders that being a 5%er doesn't mean that we're here to teach so simply that it'll be out there. That is part of the mission. Like, it's supposed to be difficult, and most people aren't going to get it. That's why we're called the 5%. Okay. So even things like, I don't know, in my own mind, for things like, let's say, vaccine or things like that, and I become one of the few that haven't taken it. Why would I have a problem with being one of the few that hasn't done something? You see? Because I'm the only one. I'm not the one that I'm not actually in action. I am actually the one that is actively doing something. I'm actively not doing something. Okay? I'm actively refraining because I'm the one that has to be in action to not do that. Right? And being a 5%er, you know that, listen, the odds are always against you. You're always one of the few. And that's something that I have already felt very comfortable with, getting the knowledge before I was getting knowledge. Part of it probably has to do with my own Puerto Rican background, and the ciphers that I go into. I was one of those rare. So even though in my mind I was always seeing us all as part of the Black diaspora, I was always a unique person out of the diaspora. You know what I mean? And then even if there were other so-called Puerto Ricans in the diaspora, they didn't really see themselves as part of the diaspora, but some type of odd entity on the periphery. So even then, I become one of the rarities. So I don't, I don't see it that way. I have never felt disheartened. You know what I mean? I've never felt disheartened. If I speak about, what I don't like and what I don't like that people do, I mean, anybody could feel disheartened, though, right? Anybody could feel disheartened because I don't have to like anything that anybody's doing. I don't care if they're wearing a flag or not. They could be screwing it up. So I don't have to like anybody that is doing anything, and I can have an issue with almost everything. But that doesn't dishearten me from being who I am. I know who I am, so I know what I have to do. And none of the things that I do are in respect to try to repair or overcome what others are doing incorrectly. I hope that answers the question. Saeem, you said today's supreme mathematics is understanding cipher, all adding to understanding. I see today's math, I'll skip along, as making sure you see the person, place, or thing in front of you to make sure they don't play you and promise you more gold than disappear like this damn experimental drug they forced in. Well put, well put. Mm-hmm. Well put. Peace light visible. By the way, if I don't say your righteous name, like RPBs, I forget. I forget sometimes. So I really like to say your righteous name if you are, and I know you. You know, just remind me and stuff. Because I'm not. If I'm not saying it, it's because I don't remember it. Okay. Um, but yeah. You know. And see, we have more tools, but we use them less. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the way that the preponderance of multiple outlets confuses to have one think that there are lots of diversity, you know. And I say that a lot about the news, you know what I mean? Wise Prince, there you go. Okay, peace, God. Yeah, yeah. That's me. I'm forgetful. It's so much easier to remember if I see faith. The thing is so small because I remember you. I remember you. You know what I mean? But but even in my class, I forget people's names. I've taught so many that it's always hard to keep track. You know, Wise Prince. You know. So you said, does a martial arts master remember all the students that he teaches, or rather, all that come into his place? I mean, I teach the martial arts, but because I'm not a master, I guess I'm not held to try to remember everybody. But I do remember almost every student. You know what I mean? That I've taught. You know what I mean? Um, when you teach at a law school as long as I have, and honestly, the truth is, no one's taught as long as I have there. You know, what happens is that there aren't things that you're getting back from every student that is equal. You know what I'm saying? So you don't always remember everybody, you know? So it's hundreds of people. Like I've taught hundreds of students, hundreds. You know, so now as far as the martial arts, so we would hope, you know what I mean, that you would teach less students. You know? That's peace, God. All right, all right. Peace of God, self I build. All right, but Yeah, I'm sure that I have not remembered everybody that have come into a law school in Mecca. But as far as the martial arts, I don't think I've forgotten who I teach. Don't think that. I'm pretty sure. Quatisa, let me rewind. Is mastering understanding cipher sort of a prerequisite for being able to write one's history in advance, or is that future story based solely on one's intentions? I don't think so. I don't think so, because every time, part of the history that you're writing though is what you intend to have understanding of. You know what I mean? So we talk about the martial arts. I know once I learned the effort, right? The effort that I would have to take to become a martial artist. Like I literally asked my Segan, like, what do I have to do to be good at this? Like, so and when he told me, then that was the history I wrote. I was like, I will do this. This will be what I do, and he told me 20 minutes a day. Every time I train, 20 minutes has to be reserved for that. And to me, I thought that's such a small amount of time though to become quality at this. I was like, I definitely can do that, you know. But I didn't have an understanding of what I was doing. I'm trying to learn something and become something. So, right? I hope that answers the question, you know. And yet, then other things are, let's say, I know I'm a writer, and I have written my history about certain things that I will do as a writer, but I'm not learning how to be like to get to the level of writer to write the type of books or whatever it is I'm going to do as a writer. That history is written in advance, as I already know I'm at that level. You know what I mean? So that's also could be in that case. You know what I mean? Even though I would obviously, you get, the more you write, you get better. So you're a different writer even at the end. You know? All right, let me go back down. All right, wise Prince, you said in our culture, do you see anything dealing with the science of grief? Interesting. As far as someone returning, I don't know. That's a good question. You know, I've lost lots of people since I got the knowledge, obviously, and if you're asking like something in our culture, I wouldn't say like in 120, but certainly this idea, what we teach, in general, you know what I mean? And in general, what we teach about what the black man is and what is our reality here, you know what I'm saying? So as far as grief, it really is just being centered in that, you know what I mean? Even the concept of that saying, return to the essence, right? Returning to the essence, right? It means that there is a reality that this may not have been the not just the only form, but maybe not the most universal form. There could be the insinuation of that. You know what I mean? But the biggest insinuation, really the intention, is that the essence is the mind. You see? And now he is solely in that cipher, just the mind, just is. See? Right? You know, so a lot of the ways of being God that we're taught, especially that I was taught by the elders, though, is that we have to be comfortable in having massive resolve. You see? Here's why we say the babies are the greatest, though. See? Because it's also a way of saying that it's okay if it feels or it appears, and maybe it might really be that your job is not done. You know? And to me, that's it sounds simple, but that's a lot of the resolve, And that if we're creators and we create, then we could look at those, that if that person has created, then nothing could be taken away. You know what I mean? They came here and they was supreme. They was creating at to whatever level. You know what I'm saying? Hope that gives some insight. We lost a lot of builders, people before, what we would say before their time, like P.E.A.C.E, you know. And it's interesting because I was thinking about P.E.A.C.E today. You know, I hear a lot of hip hop. I have to study it. I have to write about it. Hundreds of albums. You see so many shout outs and I always say remembered imperfection. So that to remember the supremacy of people, you know? And that part of the supremacy was the intentions of what they were doing, that just the resolve to do all that was monumental. And a person like P.E.A.C.E, though, comes to mind, Be extremely saddened by that, but who could live a finer life than a person like P.E.A.C.E? Cannot think of one, you know? Where when he is, the only thing we can do with him is in the mind. Remembered imperfection. Literally, remembered imperfection. Literally, his entire life is, perfection. Where every single supposed misstep was just leading to a greater step, the attempt to a greater step, the achievement of a greater step. And every single point was a profound mission. I mean, no one exuded that more. If you knew P.E.A.C.E, then you knew that nothing was more. His entire life was the steps taken toward a profound mission. Just because. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love the God. Beautiful. A lot like, Freedom Allah, Papa Wu. My last vision of them is very profound, very intriguing, you know. Last time I saw P.E.A.C.E, we were outside of a law school. I had finished my class and hanging out outside, you know, and he's plotting and planning what he's gonna do with a law school in Mecca, what he's gonna do with the Common Unity Center, right? And he pulls out. He knew what he was gonna do. He knew it was gonna be great, you know. Pulled out the cigar. He's got the cigar, looking like Hannibal, an A-team, because the plan was gonna come together. And to me, it was already there, because it's like to know that people like him existed, you know. This is how we dealt with grief, you know what I mean? This is how we dealt with grief, you know. A voracious reader, you know, and like me, he was a digital book collector. So he used to talk about collecting the books and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And we talk about that a lot. You know what I mean? But a real builder, you know what I mean? A real builder. People try, you know, people return and you see a lot of fucking weak niggas come through, you know? They think they can take the cipher now. They think like, oh, well, now I'll do it right. And blah, blah, blah. I didn't like that he did this or this, you know, and they're weak. Couldn't hold a candle. You know what I mean? You couldn't wipe his shoes. So we think about like grief. What grief? Because we're left with the best part. You know what I mean? And the grief is because we actually see the contrast. That's what makes us sad. You know? That's what makes us sad when they return, because we see the contrast. So, you know, it's like you see the roaches coming out, you know what I mean? And you feel sad because you just wish like maybe they, you know, wish that they got to enjoy themselves a little bit more, or some of the things that they wish they had, maybe they had. And you know, my last memory with freedom was at a law school too. And when I left, I said, "Peace, God, I'm gonna travel now." You know, finish the class. I finished my class. He gave me a hug and he said, "I love you, God." What a wonderful last thing, you know. What a wonderful last thing to hear from someone. Would that be the last thing that you ever heard from somebody? You know, I lost my old earth and you get to hear her say a last word like that, you know, because she wasn't able to. So I don't, you know, I don't, you know, it becomes grief because you see like, wait a minute, this is who thinks that they could carry this. The first person they used to say, not used to, in the Tao, the Confucius talks about the way of the mean. The mean is the way of the mean, the way of the righteous. It translates as the way of the mean. And the righteous man, though, follows the way of the mean, the nature. The one who wants to be known as that, but is not sincere in that, is the mean man. He gets to hold the title, like, I'm the righteous man, blah, blah, blah. But he's not. He's the mean man. I love that idea in the Confucius translations. The one who's righteous doesn't call himself by righteousness. He follows the way of the mean, and he doesn't need that title. He just is. After you see somebody righteous depart, though, every mean man who thinks that they exude the way of the mean, but they exude jack, comes in and tries to build. Happens every time. Akstar Kim, he's the first one to alert me to this. He said, everybody come out the woodworks. You see? Now every time somebody great returns, I look at the woodworks. I say, whoa, that's popping out. This knowledge is everywhere. And people forget that poor righteous teacher, the poor and the poor righteous teacher means sacrifice. And I don't see any sacrifice. I see every time they do something, they get accolades. You know how much, if you tried to fill a room, though, with the accolades of teaching that freedom has done? Do you know how many people have changed their lives based on those Wu-Tang skits? Just the skits that are 85. They just think differently about things. Let alone all the people he taught in the street. The accolades of what P.E.A.C.E built. You think that they could fit in the common unity center that you would walk into? They don't fit in there. And that's why he didn't put them in there. He didn't make it a shrine for himself. He made it a place for the babies. The accolades that P.E.A.C.E holds and all the great things he did, that gets to be our honor and our legacy, that we could talk about it. You know? Why did you ask which one hit you the hardest when they returned? I don't know. P.E.A.C.E was a little bit older than me. So that one hit me really hard. 1999, Allah School of Mecca made a new Allah Youth Center board. It was a new day, a new era began. P.E.A.C.E was the chair, Day Allah was the co-chairman, and I was the secretary. Third. Y King was part of that. He was on there too. The God DJ Wise, he was on that too. This is how far back we go with building. We were the next generation. You know what I mean? We were the next generation. So P.E.A.C.E did hit me hard, you know? But, you know, I lost so many. Firstborn Prince, Wise Jamel, right? Dumar. It is not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. Because they all deserve literally to see not just like a logical or sensible Allah world manifest, but like they deserve to see a cartoonish utopia. That's how hard they built. How sincere they was building. Light visible. You said, does energy cannot energy? Okay, question is awkward. Does energy cannot be created nor destroyed? Only change forms apply here. It always applies. Light visible. Return to the essence, to what we are before we ever became. I don't see it like what we are before. I say it's just more of a because I don't think it goes backwards. I think it goes forwards. It's just different forms, so there's more to do. This is why I say remembered imperfection. All that rest in peace. Why? I don't remember a person like P.E.A.C.E, a person like my old earth, a person like Freedom, Wise Jamel. Why would they build so beautifully just so they could go rest somewhere in the mind? Whatever the hell that means. It defies the concept of energy. See? The energy, though, is what the mind creates. The mind is ever creating energy. So if his mind doesn't return, his mind returns. Right? So what we just stop seeing is the energy manifesting in the physical form. So that energy is manifesting somewhere else, right? Another plane of energy, a plane of existence, whatever it is. But it is certainly logical. It is not completely answerable because everything that we have already known that now is not completely answered, right? Like dark energy and dark matter, right? So who knows what? We shall learn. Quatis, last question. All right, don't promise that. Does reason come before understanding, or is it access because of understanding? Reason, good question. Reason would be something that would be necessary though in using the knowledge, because you were reasoning it. And that means that you were using it. When you were reasoning something, you were finding placement for it, if it even has a placement. So that would be in wisdom. Okay. Indeed, self-styles. Supreme math is understanding that cipher. I see that as when one wise ways actions are born into existence, they're able to paint a clear mental comprehension of everything within their surroundings. Okay. Ah, my condolences, wise prince. How could it not hit you hard? You know what I mean? The people that we love, we want to see them. We want to do things for them where they could see the excellence and they could bask in the glory. You know what I mean? Umala, like we wanted to see people like him go to a parliament and just relax, enjoy the festivities. You know, you don't recover from that. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to change you, right? Wise Prince, that's a lot to handle, a lot of emotions to handle, right? Congratulations on your daughter being born. You know, that's a lot to deal with. You know what I mean? But that ebb and flow of life is beautiful. You know, and that's why I don't say rest in peace, because they're not resting. That mind is doing something. That's why I say return to the essence. It isn't just blah. It is profound. LT, you said peace. I agree that it goes forward. We say zigzag zig, but that is not the end. I say the zigzag zig, zigzag zig, zag zigzag zig. Okay, continue. 2 + 6 = 8. Build. Good point. Light visible. You said appreciate the insight. Never thought about from that perspective. Indeed, never backwards, forward, always. Thanks for the gym. That's peace. That's peace. Well, ether was what people thought dark matter energy was. Ether is something different. Okay, and in science today, ether is something different. Okay, it's older, even going back to the Greeks, though, that they were saying that ether was like what they call everything. It's not, so it's only good for non-soul, although it has its chemical compound name definition. Dark matter and energy, they're not both the same, though. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of difficult to describe. I think the best descriptions of dark matter energy, I've read in multiple books, but probably like this is why I like. Let me get the book out. No, I'm looking in the wrong area. Neil deGrasse Tyson's, where is it? Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. Literally an introductory book. And I think it's the best one. And it does talk about dark matter and energy. Very, very good. I think he explains things really great. Just an excerpt here. The mysterious dark matter, which remains undetected except for its gravitational pull on matter we see, may be composed of exotic particles that we have yet to discover identity. Or, discover or identify. A small minority of astrophysicists, however, are unconvinced and have suggested that there is no dark matter. You just need to modify Newton's laws of gravity. Simply add a few components to the equations, all will be well. So he gives you the perspectives, right? More excerpts. Let's see. I don't want to read anything out of context. That will not kind of make sense. Oops, I skipped. Dark matter is a mysterious substance that has gravity but does not interact with light in any known way. Dark energy is a mysterious pressure in the vacuum of space that acts in the opposite direction of gravity, forcing the universe to expand faster than it would otherwise would. I think those are probably the. So let me read this again. Ordinary matter is what we are all made of. It has gravity and interacts with light. Dark matter is a mysterious substance that has gravity but does not interact with light in any known way. Dark energy is a mysterious pressure in the vacuum of space that acts in the opposite direction of gravity, forcing the universe to expand faster than it otherwise would. And of course, they're measuring this as the primary components. Both dark matter and energy are comprise most of the universe. Okay. So, and they are realizing this though because these are what's off in the calculations. The calculations show this ordinary matter and what it is doing and how it interacts with light. And then that. And again, since we were talking about quantum mechanics, quantum physics is studying light is a foundation of quantum mechanics. And I'll leave that there. Okay. LT, you said we know that 8 sideways is the infinity symbol. I came in here hearing you speaking of return of this. I'm busy, but wanted to add my understanding to it. Please do. Please do. I don't say rest in peace either. I don't agree that we're rested. Right, right. And I don't say rest in peace because at the same time, though, I'm not here to say what they are doing. I'm here to say I pay homage by saying what we are doing. And I remember them, you know. So all of my acronyms of it are how we are relating to. Maybe they remembered, like, I know people have used what I said and use it differently. So you see remembered in positivity, which I'm at peace with. I often say revered in posterity, but how we relate to them is how I see it. All right. That's peace, God, Malik. Kareem, you said, I have that book, great introductory book, along with science. So, okay. I meant they all come down to, they can't tell you ish at the end of what exactly stuff. But that's because nobody knows exactly what it is. So you can only tell, we're still learning. And what this world needs is one of our people with knowledge of self to become one of those scientists, to be able to look at things, though, with the perspective of being the true and living and having knowledge of self and be able to analyze things in that manner. And that's what's missing. You know what I mean? That is what's missing. Malik, you said I got some semblance of clarity on the fourth degree and the 1 to 40. We walked them devils from the holy city of Mecca to Caucasus Mountains. You hillside binding. I say remember that's peace. Um that's peace LT. Okay. All right. Ditto. Ditto is acceptable, like, right? I don't know. I don't know how plasma is defined. I've never seen it defined like as a separate thing. You know. Now there's plasma in the blood, and then there's plasma um, as one of the four fundamental states of matter, right? So it's the most abundant form of ordinary matter in the universe, right? Right. Essentially, basically gas of ions, really. You know. Okay. Was it a gold era as in the currencies when Elijah says they did they receive more gold? Uh, yeah, obviously, yeah, that gold standard, gold standard. Yeah. let me know any questions you have. The opportunities will be different, okay? Because um, you all will have to interact though, and not just um, get the questions you want answered as you do here. But when I go back into the classroom, sometimes you guys are a little quiet though. I never know why that's the case. Okay, we got our last 20 minutes here, 20 plus minutes. Let me get your questions. Yeah, I just answered. It was a gold standard. Yeah, they didn't have bills. They weren't. The standard was gold, so it certainly would. Is more of a universal concept. You mean that he taught all man of God, right? Is that what you're saying, Kareem? I never was there. when he said that. So I never got to go back and forth with him on it. You know, that's peacefully. Yeah. A lot of times I've seen videos and stuff where Freedom would say that he's not the first to come to that. Sometimes people came to that because the white students would be more profound. Sometimes they came to that because there's a lot of original people that are culturally not black. You know what I'm saying? Um, Sicilians, Southern Italians, people in the divide. So even if we found like the darkest Sicilian, right? Um, Culturally, they don't live blacks. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to find that any of that reality. And what is a fact is that they come from a whitewashed reality, right? They're the people that they are coming from have whitewashed their reality, right? So these are the kind of things that affect the way we start to judge who is God, who is not, because it feels like a gray area. And to simplify things, I understood why he was doing that. Um, I think this once any man is taught a knowledge of himself, I think there was no real limitation to the righteousness that he can do. You see, and I don't and so levels of supremacy can be achieved by any man. But who is the true and living God? That's the original man. You know, and Freedom wasn't the one to teach me that. You know, he wasn't the one to teach me that, and for my elders, that wasn't my argument for him. That wasn't my argument to have with him. You know, it never came up. He never taught it to any of my students. He never brought that up in class like that when he was around my classroom, right? So it's something I didn't, because I never knew the context of what of a video or anything like that, But the idea that any man though can control his destiny with righteousness is an ultimate statement. I think a true statement. You know, if I could go that far, if I try to go as far as I can, that's as far as I can go. He postulated as you come under the DNA, you are God. I don't know what that means. Come under the DNA though, so I don't know what that means. Malik, you said when you see God's building or arguing, do you strive to rectify or bring clarity to cipher? Um, I don't think that I would let people say the things that I know and can show and prove are wrong, like just being said. Um, so I would try to bring clarity, you know, right? But not everybody with this knowledge I bear witness to is 5% or so. I think a lot of them is phony. And I think in these times now, though, it only reveals it. So I don't give a damn what they're doing, you know. So I might not, A lot of so-called people think they teaching though, and they're lucky I don't give them a testing. You know, they're lucky that I don't go up to them. And it's no tough guy shit. But telling to show and prove, what is that? You know? Anyway. 7930, you said the application of my clarity to all things within my reality so that the best part can stimulate life and living through positive. Sounds good. Sure, it might continue. Oh, biological perspective. Okay. Um, I mean, can they graft back? I mean, that's what you're saying, though. I mean, ideally, I mean, look, somebody's, somebody that's white that really, trust me, if they really care about this knowledge and see it as knowledge, though, none of that shit means anything. You know, it's not going to be a big deal. They're going to get over themselves. That's peace 793. Peace. Go. All right. All right. We got about a little over 10 minutes left. So anything that you need me to build on, doesn't matter how much it is. Trust me, I will have useful brevity. If that's the case. Uh, 793. Just email me. Yeah, email me. You got to email me. I can't remember things like, email me. Excuse me. Oh boy. Okay. All right. Malik, you said, what is the effective method that works for you in teaching students, or what would you prescribe? It's the mentality you take into it, Malik. See, when the question is asked, the the assumption is that you're going out there to teach. So, my goodness, what a terrible um, task to have to perform. It becomes evangelical. Anything, go out there and teach, whatever. Um, but really, the goal is just to share. You know, create things and share them. Find out what people really need at the moment and teach them. And then you can be respected enough to be on the journey with them, and you can offer insights to help their journey. Right? You said, what would I prescribe? Is you being able to being able to make a prescription out of every situation. You know what I mean? Not impose and just share. But once teaching becomes something that has to be done, it doesn't get done. Not very well. Kareem said today's math is understanding. Said, "Ooh, finally got it. You got to understand your very surroundings from homeschool work and the people that come with it. With that, at the end of the month, and do the knowledge at the beginning of the next month." Yeah, I like that you built that way. You know, as a daily, using it as a daily plotting. It's tough stuff. Very good builds today. Very good questions, and still a shout out to those I could use as a tool in the slave to make a point. Can never run out of those. That's what it is. You know, it could. People always talk about agents and shit like that. It's just people with egos. You know what I mean? And they love to. Nobody likes to think of themselves as the one that's doing wrong. That's peace, Malik. Always an honor, Malik. Always an honor, Malik. You know, I'm serious this whole class, but this my little girl, my littlest one, turns 8 on Saturday, so I'm actually very excited. You know, have a lot of fun toys and things for her and stuff. So, you know, try to make it as much fun as possible. You know, so I've been working real busy, so that way everything I have in my mind, everything I wanted to do, everything I wanted to read, you know, get ahead. You know, but looking forward to that a lot. You know, so just because people are a pain in the ass and I'm intense doesn't mean that it's hitting me any kind of way. You know what I mean? We have to have that intensity. And you know, if we're gonna do this in the digital cipher and all of you get this worthwhile, then I have to be tough with people. You know what I mean? We can have that lazy shit and that weak shit. You know what I mean? You got to be stronger. And whoever that brother is, though, you come tougher than that. Manifest yourself. Man, I fest. Right? Indeed, indeed, Malik. Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely, Kareem. Absolutely, Kareem. You know, but I get like this because I want what you're getting from me through the here to be worthwhile and to have validity and not just be cheapened by and made. If I give slack like that, then it lessens the validity of what we're trying to achieve here. You can't have that. You guys, oh, look at the answers you've been giving me. You know, like you can't dilute it. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna have people mix dilute and tamper that. You know, what you are learning here in this online classroom with me or Darkim is valid, and don't let any anonymous people and people that choose to say anonymous invalidate that. I'm not gonna let that happen, even in this cipher. You know, I'll find a way to boot people out. You know, this is we're not gonna be wasting our time here. We're gonna make this valid and useful and worthy. You know, where you can all say, listen, I studied with Sunez. I built with him offline, online here. I studied his classes, and that'll be worth something in the things that you get, and the things that you understand, and things that you can use, and not just be something of ill repute. But with that said, this is the end of the class. Contact me. The email Sunez97. Anything you need, I'll be here. All right. Peace.